All right, class, here's the review on percent. There's really two things we were doing with percent. One, we were just taking a percentage of two numbers, just like a test score, or you take two pieces of information, you find what percent they are of each other. And the second is when we were given a percentage and you had to take it from a number. So I'm going to go over both. The first type of question is the easiest one, the one you see most often, yet some of you still have a hard time figuring out how to do percent. So if you were to get, for example, 15 out of a total 18 marks on a quiz, you want to know what percent it is so you can figure out what level you're at and where you are. So when you look at that and I say, what is the percent, you have to, what is the percent? Cool. You have to take a look and see how you're going to solve it. Now there are some clues about doing it. We've talked before that yes, that looks like a fraction, but this line between the numerator and the denominator, the top number and the bottom number, actually is an operation. Hopefully by now you remember that that operation is truly a division sign, and we can treat it as such. So we are going to start this by dividing 15 divided by 18. 15 divided by 18 is going to equal decimal 833 repeating. So that doesn't quite look like the percentages that we're used to. We have to put that into a percent of 100. Out of 100, what did you get? So if you're looking at how to put that out of 100, hopefully you remember that we simply multiply this number by 100, this decimal number. Now, I don't really want you reaching for calculators at this point in your career. We should know when multiplying base time numbers, we simply move the decimal place to the right with the number of zeros that are present in it. So in this case, this new number, or what percent this would be 83.3%. The question probably would say round it to the nearest one or whole number, or it might say to the nearest tenth. You just have to look and listen and see what you're being asked to do. So anyhow, that is basically how you do the first type of percent question. You might also have to look at if it says in Mr. Ross's class, let's go for an example, there are, let's say, 20 boys and 10 girls. And then you do a question from it. I could ask, for example, the percent of girls. If that is the question, you would have to take a look of the number of girls to the whole class. And this would be 10 girls out of a total of 30 students in the classroom. Now, when you look at it, you might not know what to do past that, but there's your hint. There's your division. It is simply going to be 10 divided by 30. And 10 divided by 30, I just wrote the same thing. Excuse me a second. I wanted you to see it. 10 divided by 30. That equals decimal 3, 3. And 3 repeating, but we'll just stop there. Anyhow, we want that as a percent of 100. We multiply decimal 3 times 100, and we will get 33%. So that's the first part. You've been doing that for a couple of years now. Now I want to show you just a little bit different when I tell you what percent I'm looking for. If I say a number like 114, I don't know what 114, let's call them, there's 114 cookies. Doesn't really matter. But we're going to allow our students to eat 40% can be eaten. So we're going to say that you give the kids permission to eat 40% of those 114. Let me write that again, 40% of 114. And when you hear me talking about of, we did a lot of work on that before when these were fractions. And basically 40% is a fraction, they're decimals, it's all the same sort of stuff, they're all related. It's going to be a multiplication question. But I can't multiply 40 times 114, that'll put us in the thousands, and that doesn't make sense. But we know the first thing we have to do is we have to change this 40% into that decimal number. Well, that 40% is really 40 out of a total 100. And if we divide 40 divided by 100, you would get that 0.4. Now it's still 40%, that's still what that means, of 114. But remember, of is truly a multiplication question. So I will put it like that. And now when I say what is 40% of 114, when I ask what 40% of 114, it's going to be 45.6 cookies. So you could, well, I'm going to even be nice. I'm going to round up. I'm going to let you eat 46 of those cookies. When we get a percentage of a number, you take the percentage, change it to a decimal, and then multiply it by the number to determine which one it is. All right, I'll do one more example, and then we will move on. If I wanted to know 36% of 2,000, my first thing is to change this to a decimal. If you don't know how to do it, you do 36 divided by 100. 36 divided by 100, you could do in your head, you just move the decimal place 2 places to the left this time. Of means multiplication. And you're going to multiply 36, decimal 36 times 2,000. Decimal 36 times 2,000 is equal to 720. 36% of 2,000 is 720. That is basically it. Now, your word problems might ask you for what is left over, and you might have to do some subtraction work or some addition work, but basically, those are the two ways that we use percent to find numbers.